So good afternoon, everybody. I'm Angela Dall'Ara. I work as a policy officer in the RIPE NCC. The RIPE NCC is the regional internet registry for Europe, Central Asia, and Middle East. I think many of you work for organizations that are already members of RIPE NCC, and I'm very happy to be here. It's my first UKNOF meeting, and I'm a bit nervous. Apologies for abusing your native language for who is from UK. You will probably tune of my vocal sound at the end of each word. So today I would like to talk to you about the RIPE policy development process, because even our members are sometimes not taking this very important part in consideration. This is a process that is followed totally within the RIPE community and is guiding the whole operation of the RIPE NCC. So I would like to tell you also about about the current policy proposals that we have in the PDP at the moment, and to give you a couple of updates to our services that have been done in the last months. So here you see a summary of how the RIPE policy development process works. Probably many of you know it already, but for who is new, I'm here also to promote the participation. And as you can see, the PDP is happening totally in the RIPE community. You hear very often speaking about RIPE, but actually referring to the RIPE NCC. If you see here, there are two different, and one is the RIPE NCC. The community is open to everybody. They don't need, there are also the members of the RIPE NCC, but not only members are part of the community. And everybody that has an interest in how IP addresses, IS numbers are distributed to network operators is very welcome to participate in the process. So the community is working in working groups, is discussing policy proposals, and not on mailing list mostly, but is also meeting at the RIPE meetings and in interim sessions between the RIPE meetings. Discussing the proposals means that some of these suggestions, these ideas, can become policies when there is consensus. Probably you're familiar with the definition of consensus. It's not a voting, it's not a majority, but is a situation in which the community agrees that everybody can live with the solution found, and this solution found is an improvement to the current situation. The RIPE NCC in this process is supporting administratively the working groups, and at the end, if the policy is implemented, is taking care of the implementation. We also provide impact analysis regarding the impact, the effect that this can have on the addressing system and on our operations. This is the list of the working groups that we have active at the moment. I'm sure that some of you are already part of these working groups. And let's say traditionally, the working groups where we have more policy proposals are the address policy, the anti-abuse, and the RIPE NCC services. Here you have the link, and for each working group you can find the link also to subscribe to the mailing list. So I'm here to promote participation, because actually it is a fact that since the pandemic we saw less participation in the discussion of the policies. During the pandemic, we didn't have any policy proposal. Last year, we had 2 policy proposals, but still we do not see that level of engagement that we had before 2019. So I'm here to tell you that we would be very happy, the community would be very happy to see more participation, to hear more voices, also because in the latest years, we see that there are different types of operators that are holding IP addresses and IS numbers. So it's possible that the needs are changed. It's possible that the policy are not responding to the needs of everybody. So it's important that everybody's voice is heard and is going to be considered during the discussion. You can start following the mailing list in a sort of a passive way. You can just check their archives for each working group. So follow also the past discussion to understand where a certain suggestion is coming from. And then if you like to comment, if you like to post your opinions, you need to be subscribed to the mailing list. And then you can share your comments and ideas. So this is my first invite. Have a look, check which is the working group that is more responding to your interest. Some working groups like maths or routing are more technical, and you can also have more operational discussion. So I'm sure you can find something that is suiting your interest. Actually, everything you need to know is in these 2 documents. One is the PDP, the policy development process. It has been updated lately because the RIPE chairs wanted to define a bit better which were the roles of the working group chairs, of the policy officer, to introduce a preliminary phase for the suggestion of an idea, and also to define a bit better the appeal procedure, because also things can go not as well as one would like, and somebody can make an appeal if something went, if he thinks that something went wrong. We had only an appeal in the 30 years of history of the RIPE NCC, but was a good opportunity to review the PDP. And then the RIPE Code of Conduct is similar to the respect policy of UKNOF. Of course, we come all from different countries, different cultures. It is easy to have a misunderstanding, and it is good to know what to do if something goes wrong. So if you have the time, these are the 2 documents that are telling everything about of what you need to know. This is a beautiful slide, and I think it has to do with the format of Keynote. So in the first line, there should be written, hey, it's back. So let's have a look at what we have now active as policy proposals currently in our region. In the second, for each proposal there is a time frame in the PDP. So once a proposal, let's say once an idea to correct something that is in the current policies or to add something new to the current policies is encountering the interest of a working group, a policy proposal is submitted. At that point, the discussion phase can start. After this discussion phase is used by the proposers to understand if there is enough support, enough interest to go ahead with the review phase. Before going ahead with the review phase, the RIPE NCC is publishing the impact analysis I was telling you before, and the policy draft. So which one would be the document of the policy in the RIPE NCC. Once we have this published, we go to the review phase. The review phase is very important because this is the phase in which the working group chairs are defining if there is a consensus. The working group chairs are members of the community. Each working group chair has each working group has 2 or 3 working group chairs. And they have the difficult task to understand if there is an agreement, if there is consensus on the proposal. So you can understand that the more comments there are, the more participation, the easier is the task, and the more correct is going to be their determination of consensus. Then we have the last call. The last call is reserved only for new objections. So if there are no new objections, the consensus is confirmed and the policy is accepted. Once the policy is accepted, there is an interim time for the implementation, and once it is implemented, it is applied to all the members and the resource holders of our resources. Just a comment. It is strange for some that during the review phase, the comments already done during the discussion phase need to be repeated. So I say it because sometimes it is difficult to have enough comments and to have the records to define consensus if these are not repeated and they were only done during the discussion phase. When each phase is announced on the policy announce mailing list and in the working group that is discussing the proposal. So let's see what we have now at the moment. We have now 3 policy proposals, and this is the page where you can see the current status, and I can tell you the second one is already outdated because this morning I announced the start of the review phase for the second proposal, but I will tell you later more in detail. So looking at each of these proposals, we have in the Address Policy Working Group 2 policies, and they are both regarding the reserved pools that we have for IXPs and for temporary assignments. At the moment, the first one wants to reduce the IXP IPv4 assignment default size to a /26, that is now /24. And this proposal comes as a reaction to a report that was done in October at RIPE 85 by the RIPE NCC, because making a linear extrapolation of the current trend, most probably this pool would be exhausted in 6-7 years from now. So I think some of you work in an IXP or know if in this country there are plans to build up more IXPs, and if these IXPs have the plans or are likely to grow, to number of members and so on. So it would be interesting to know if you think that this proposal, this new policy, if the proposal is accepted, would accommodate their needs. And this one is in the discussion phase, and the discussion phase is ending on the 6th of April, so in a couple of days, but I expect it's going to be prolonged because there were not so many comments, so I think it's possible we have an extension of the first phase. Then we have another proposal that is about the minimum size for IPv4 temporary assignments. Temporary assignments are reserved for temporary events like conferences, sport broadcasting, and so on, and for research purposes. At the moment, there is not a minimum size for the assignment. So, because the requirement of the policy is to demonstrate that at least the 50% of the requested block is going to be utilized, sometimes it's difficult to reach that amount of that utilization. And the proposal is making a default size of /24, and in this way everybody would be receiving a routable subnet. Then specifically for research purposes, when the requested block is larger than a /24, the proposal is suggesting to accept, the RIPE NCC, to accept also routing requirements for justify the request. This because, especially with lately with RPKI, testing, doing some other kinds of research, let's say you need a routable subnet, but you do not have, let's say, the utilization of the address behind it, so you just need to announce a certain subnet and there is no utilization. But researches are genuine, and it is a pity that sometimes we can't say yes to the request. So this is and today this one went in review phase. So there is an impact analysis published by the RIPE NCC and the draft of the policy. And this is regarding a /13 that is reserved for temporary assignments. Moving to the RIPE NCC Services Working Group, we have a third policy proposal, voluntary transfer lock. This proposal is, let's say, meant to replace the current executive board resolution, RIPE NCC executive board resolution, that was made in December to respond to a request from some Ukrainian members to be able to lock temporarily the transfer of their resources. So at the moment it is possible to lock them, to request a lock for 6 months, but only it is possible to lock all the resources of a member. While the proposed policy is suggesting to be able to select the allocation that has to be blocked, and is leaving to the RIPE NCC the possibility to offer different durations for the lock. This is also in the discussion phase, and it should end very soon. There was a very intense discussion after the RIPE 85 meeting and before the submission of the proposal regarding this proposal. And then there were no comments once the proposal was submitted. So again, sorry for repeating myself, you have all the comprehension and support of my husband when I repeat myself, but please participate, say what you think. If you think that also this policy can be useful in situations that need the prevention of the transfer of some resources. So this was regarding the policy proposals that we have now under discussion. These are not all the topics regarding policies, because at the moment there is already for 1 year, there is an ongoing discussion about the review of IPv6 policies. IPv6 is not a new protocol anymore, implementation is going on already for a while, and the Address Policy Working Group chairs organized some interim sessions to discuss what the community would like to see different in the policies. One session was held on the 20th of February, and you can watch the recording with this link, but the next one is just after Easter, on the 11th of April. Here there is the communication about it, and there you can find the Zoom link to participate. It is open, it's a chat, it is informal, I hope to see you there in Zoom. And then updates to the RIPE NCC services. I just picked two for you. The database working group is not always working via policy proposals, so through the PDP, but is working with numbered work items. Then you can see in the first link all what is under discussion at the moment, but NYI 10 and NYI 19 were implemented lately. The first one is the definition of country, and is regarding the definition of the meaning of the country attribute in organization objects. This is now referring to the legal registration of the country where the company, the organization, is legally registered, and is also reflected in the extended delegated statistics in the file that you find in the NRO. The other one is NYI 19, and is the change to AS set naming. Before it was possible to create AS sets with the short naming and with the hierarchical naming. New AS set must be hierarchical. In this way, the maintainer of the AS that is creating the AS set can authenticate and can validate the object. And the existing non-hierarchical AS set can be still updated. By the way, in APNIC, the same was implemented via policy. Then RPKI, new in production, is publication as service or publishing parent, as you want, to accommodate RFC 8181, that is publication protocol for RPKI. And now you can use a sort of a hybrid RPKI. Let's say you can register your and publish your signed objects in the repository of RIPE NCC while running your own certificate authority. So it's not hosted fully, it's not delegated fully, it's a hybrid. And the terms and conditions you can find to apply for the service, you can find them here. And then I have 1 second to invite you to, I'm having the red thing, I have 1 second, to invite you to RIPE 86 in Rotterdam at the end of May. Is going to be a pleasure to see you all there, and here you have the link to register and find all the information for the meeting. Hopefully there is going to be nice weather, but it's Holland, but I mean not so different from the UK. And I'm ready for your questions if you have any. Thank you for listening.